Hello everybody, my name is Chris. I donated a kidney to a childhood friend of mine. Up until August of 2008, I never really thought much about kidney disease. You know, when you're young, you think you're invincible, and you think your friends are invincible. But in August of 2008, one day, I did get that phone call from my good childhood friend who started dialysis that morning. He was in end-stage renal disease, and that's when I realized the impact of kidney disease. When I actually learned what kidney failure would mean to my friend, that's when I decided that I needed to take action, especially knowing the fact that just 2 years prior, he lost his mother to kidney disease. So I knew that it was time for me to step up. When I learned about kidney disease and its treatment options, I was surprised to realize that there really aren't many options. Dialysis is pretty much the option. It's being placed on a machine at least 3 times a week, several hours a day. It interrupts your daily regimen, your work regimen, your family time. It becomes your new focus. I ultimately decided to donate my kidney because I care about my friend. And it wasn't very long. I mean, honestly, it was before I'd even gotten off the phone with him that morning, the day that he called me and told me he was on dialysis. I said to myself, I'm going to help him. And I knew that there was a lot involved. And again, I didn't really know much of the process. But what I did know was that it just wouldn't be fair for me to be able to continue my life going where I want to go, when I want to go, doing what I want to do, knowing that my friend who's been with me for many years of my life would not be able to have that same opportunity. So I felt like as a friend, I needed to see if I could be his donor. During that period of my life, I was still single. I've since gotten married. I have 2 children, but the rest of my immediate family was still with me back then. And there were concerns. I remember my dad saying, "Oh, we don't give away our kidneys." But I remember saying, "Well, guess what, Dad? I am going to." Because I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew I needed to help my friend. And I know my dad's comments were based on him being my father and caring for his son. And knowing that that type of surgery is mysterious, it to some could be scary, but it was something that I had to do. And they understood that because they know me and they know how I've been in the past and how I've handled other situations I've been through in my life. But they know that when I put my mind on something, I'm going to move forward with it. And again, putting their concerns into consideration, we spoke, and I was able to get them to understand how I needed to do this. And they gave me full support, and that was wonderful. I'll be honest, I was never scared at any moment. Actually, I couldn't wait for the surgery. It was 6 months between the time my friend called me and when we actually had our surgery, and I couldn't wait. Every day I was looking forward to that surgery. You know what it is that I believed in the surgery. I believed in the importance of it. Plus, I put my trust in the professionals at the center that we were having the procedure at. You know, during those 6 months, I spent a lot of time there and spoke with everybody and really got to know everybody. And so I was totally comfortable with the environment, and I knew that everything was going to be just fine. You know, as I was being rolled into the operating room, I thought, well, I didn't think of much. Maybe I had about 2 thoughts, and then next thing you know, I was out and I was awake 6 hours later. But again, no concerns going in. I had total confidence in everybody that was around me at the time, and I was ready for action. The best moment after my surgery was when the doctor came in and told me that my friend who was in the room next to me had just peed. A little personal, but very exciting to know that it worked. So before the procedure, I was told that I'd have the surgery on Tuesday and would be home on Thursday. Well, what Thursday? Because it wasn't Thursday, 2 days after the surgery. I was in the hospital probably for a week and a half. They tell you about the pains, but you won't know about the pains until you feel the pains. Now, the main pain for me was the gas pain, the gas that's in your abdomen and kind of just bounces around all over your body, up by your shoulder, and it doesn't go away. But my recovery was longer than expected, but it was fine. Wasn't really a complication. It's just I guess every case is a little different. But the one thing is that you have to get up and ambulate. You have to move around. And telling somebody who's in pain and on pain medication and groggy to get up and move when they're lying in a bed isn't a real easy sell. But once I realized the importance of it and felt the improvement by walking around, then I was up and I was gone. There's not really much to say that I learned about myself from this experience. But what I did learn about others is that it takes situations like this to make an impact on people. I remember walking around the hallway one day while I was doing my ambulating, and I met a husband and wife who had a son that was on that floor who was dying of lung cancer, and he was literally dying, and I believe he passed away the next day. And I just walked by them, I said hello, struck up a conversation, and they asked why I was in the hospital. I told them. The father, again, these are individuals that I'd never met before. The father gave me a hug and called me his hero. And I wasn't there for his son. I wasn't there for his family. But he understood what I was there for. And it made an impact on him and his wife. And the next day, his wife came in. This is right before we were leaving. She came in and she gave gifts for me and my friend to give each other. She was kind of like Santa Claus of the recovery unit. So it was pretty cool, but it made me realize that these types of situations, they make an impact on people, and they let people see the reality and the importance of doing for others and what it can lead to. My life has changed a lot since my surgery. Prior to my surgery, I was a hip-hop tour DJ and on-air radio personality. Now, I'm still a hip-hop head, and I'll be one for the rest of my life, so that hasn't changed. But career-wise, I went back to school and received my RN license, and I'm about a half a semester shy from receiving my BSN. I also work for Live On New York. It's an organ procurement organization here in New York, and I'm also an advocate. I take every chance I get to speak about the importance of tissue and organ donation. I just recently came back from D.C. It was my third annual trip down there to speak to legislators about certain important topics, including the Living Donor Protection Act and the importance of that. So, I've always been an individual who's vocal, especially when it's about something that I believe in, and I believe in the importance of donation. And I've seen firsthand what it's done for my friend in a positive way for his life, and certainly what it's done for my life, and I love it. Now, I'm sure the stories from other donors where they do have some regrets, but not this guy. I have no regrets. I'd be making it up if I gave you a story about a regret, but I have none. I have no regrets. I'm glad I was able to do what I did. And again, I learned early on how unique the situation was. I was the first and only person to step to my friend and ask him if I could, get tested to be a donor. And we were a perfect match. We're not blood related, and we were just friends that would know each other for a long time. And so that in itself was very special. And I also remember there was an individual 2 days before we had the surgery who was sitting in the waiting room with 6 people that day. He had already been tested in the last year and a half with about 9 other people, friends and family members, and every time it was not a match. and he had been on dialysis for 3 years. And I told him that a friend, me and my friend, this was our first time, and we were matched, and he cried, and that left a serious impact on me. And that's when I knew I was doing the right thing. So there's when it's put together like that, there isn't any room for regrets. Looking back, the best part about donating my kidney was knowing that I was able to be there for my friend. I was able to help him get back to doing the things that he loved to do. He was a musician. He was able to get back in the studio and work on new projects. The girl that he was with at the time, they had gotten engaged right afterward. That didn't last, but I always say that's a different organ. That's the heart, not the kidney. So I can't do anything there. But I was able to help him fulfill a lot of things that he thought he'd never be able to do. And he's still doing them 10 years later. And that is the best part of donating. The best advice I could give to someone who's thinking about being a donor is to follow your heart. Do what you think is best. But definitely you want to put in consideration other people's feelings, your loved ones around you, how are they feeling about it. It's important to have that open discussion. And so you can understand what their concerns are. They can understand why it's important for you to be able to do what you want to do and be a donor. You also want to know that there's a lot of recovery time needed afterwards. And that may mean that you'll have to not work for a couple of weeks. So you'll have to make sure that your finances are in order and everything in that department is taken care of. So there's a lot to think of. It's one of those decisions that it's a big decision. It's a life-changing decision for you and your recipient. So think about everything. Think about how your life is structured right now, and then you make the best decision. It's a decision that you want to make, and that's all you can do. So good luck, and thanks for listening.